Hi, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here on KHOU 11 Plus with a deeper dive on the forecast for today. We'll talk about some storms that are beginning to pop up out there right now. We'll have a deep dive on the temperature increase that's coming up for the weekend. And of course, now that it's hurricane season, a look at the tropics. So a lot of things to cover. Let's take a look outside first. A lot of cloud cover out there right now. So this is kind of left over from some storms that tried to get in here this morning. They weren't that successful. They actually fell apart just before they reached us. So they left us with a lot of cloud cover, which is nice because it's kept the temperatures down just a bit, 88 degrees. So not bad for the beginning of June here in Southeast Texas. The catch, though, is the humidity. Dew points in the 70s makes it feel like 96 degrees. So you don't need the sunshine to make it feel even hotter than it already is. That's the job of the humidity. Numbers, though, pretty uniform across the area. We got some mid-80s out to the east, upper 80s everywhere else, and then some low 90s starting to pop up places like Wharton and Sugar Land. Back to the west, though, this really tells the story. Look at that temperature difference. It's 65 right now in Amarillo. It's 70. Up in the Metroplex on June 4th. That's impressive. Unfortunately, we are not going to tap into that cooler weather because that's stationary. Well, that what is a cold front has now become stationary, so it's not moving anymore. It's kind of hung up and draped across the Brazos Valley. That is going to act as the lifting mechanism, the trigger for some downpours and thunderstorms here as we get into the afternoon and the evening. So across the neighborhoods we go on the Neighborhood Weather Network. Queenswood Lane in the Heights at 91, Sea Spray Court at 90 degrees, Jersey Village, Gentlewood Court at 88 degrees, Gusty Trail Lane at 91 degrees. So yeah, it's certainly warm out there, and that warmth, that humidity, that'll provide the fuel for these storms as we get into the afternoon. Now, once we get into the end of the week, rain chances start to trail off, and then temperatures start to increase. With less rain and less cloud cover, we get more sunshine. We could see numbers make a run at the century mark by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, it is hurricane season now. Thankfully, things are quiet for the time being. We'll do a little bit of a dive on that coming up here in just a few minutes. All right, radar is really starting to light up here. In fact, let's take a little bit of a closer look at 12:30 this afternoon. It's not in the city, but it's down towards the south and west. Notice no lightning flashes, so it's just heavy downpours right now that are moving in, but notice they're kind of drifting north to northeastward. So I do think in the next 2 hours, we're going to start to see more activity out towards places like Sugar Land and Richmond, and then eventually into the metro as well. But no lightning strikes here, nothing significant at the moment. Places like Sealy, Katy, all very quiet. But again, this is all on the warm and muggy side of this frontal boundary that's draped through the Brazos Valley back across San Antonio. So everything south of that boundary is where we have enough warmth and humidity to provide the fuel for these storms. It's much more stable atmosphere back to the north and west where it's cooler. There is the risk, though, that we do see some strong to severe storms on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the worst. It's a level 1, so it's the lowest potential for severe weather that we've got, but it's not 0. So there is the chance we get an isolated gusty thunderstorm. That's pretty much it. It's from the Houston metro and then going points back to the north and west. Now, we do have a weather impact alert in effect. It's hourly, though, so it's not for the whole day. And this is just to highlight when we're expecting the best chances for downpours and thunderstorms. And it'll be from 2 o'clock all the way through 8 p.m. I think by the time the sun goes down is when conditions start to gradually improve across the area. We are going to see, again, the potential for some of these gusty storms. All you need to do is make sure that you got an umbrella handy. If you're driving anywhere this evening, take your time. Could see some ponding on roadways, but this is not expected to be a huge event in terms of severe weather or rainfall. But it's not out of the question to get some high water spots in some of the usual poor drainage areas. All right, so through the rest of the afternoon, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, downpours and thunderstorms develop across the area. Future Track can't really pinpoint exactly where it's going to happen. The takeaway here is the timing. So the time frame on this, again, 2 to 8 p.m., I think it really peaks around the evening commute. That's why we have the weather impact alert in effect, because it's going to be impactful for those trying to get home. Once we get to about 10 and 11 p.m., though, everything starts to wrap up and we turn drier. Now, getting into tomorrow, we'll start off with a lot of sunshine. Tomorrow morning starts off beautifully. We'll see a couple of clouds out there, but with that sunshine, with the heat, and still with some humidity in place, we do run the risk of popping up a couple of downpours and storms, let's say around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Not a big deal, not a washout, and it's a much more, look at the picture here, much more isolated than the activity that we're going to see as we go through this afternoon and this evening. So we go from about a 40 or 50% chance today down to a 20 or 30% chance for your day on Thursday. But it looks like it could be centered over I-10, so a lot of folks could be affected by that, and it does go into the evening hours, so just keep that in mind for your Thursday. The rest of today, that looks like this. Scattered storms developing along and just south of that boundary. As we get to tomorrow, our rain chances drop because that boundary quickly lifts back across North Texas. And so with that in mind, that is again, the lifting mechanism, the trigger for storm development. Well, if you don't have that lifting mechanism in place, it's going to be a little more difficult for storms to form. So we should be mainly quiet here on Thursday, again, barring an isolated afternoon storm. And then as high pressure settles in, we really go dry and we really go sunny and hot for the end of the week and the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all looking like pretty steamy days with high temperatures in the upper 90s. So we go from a 30% rain chance tomorrow down to goose eggs for the weekend, and then rain chances come back once we get to Monday, and that's going to be welcome relief because those rain chances for the start of next week are going to help to keep those temperatures down. So we'll go from 95 tomorrow to 98 Friday and Saturday, making a run at 100 degrees on Sunday, and then back down into the low 90s with those added rain chances as we get towards the beginning of next week. Okay, in the tropics, it is day 4 of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. We were watching a feature off the Carolina coastline. Hurricane Center has looked at it and said, nothing's going to happen with this. It's struggling too much. It's more so over lands, that feature of cluster of thunderstorms and showers. So no chance of that turning into anything. So we are expected to stay quiet, at least for another week, across the Atlantic basin. Now, we are watching some Saharan dust. That's the orange color on the map, but watch what happens here. You saw how it started in the beginning, right? That really bright orange color, and then it just kind of diffused across the Gulf of Mexico. This is not going to be a big deal for us because it becomes more diffuse. We have had instances in the past where you get these higher concentrations, like they'll get over South Florida through our area, and when that happens, our air quality suffers, our allergies become worse, and the sky just looks awful. It's got that milky white appearance to it. I don't see that being the case with this plume because it's so low concentration. Some of our more sensitive individuals with respiratory issues may have a problem Friday and Saturday. I think for everybody else, though, we're going to be fine. Allergies should be okay as well. But there may be a little bit of a haze in the sky. I think that'll be about the extent of any optical effects from that dust. Okay, travel forecast for tomorrow looks like this. It is a beautiful stretch of weather up and down the I-95 corridor from Maine to Boston, New York, Philly, D.C., everyone in the 80s for the most part, with mainly sunny skies, couple showers and storms out towards Cleveland. Southeast, your typical afternoon storm chances here across the Gulf Coast from New Orleans along I-10 through the Panhandle, down into North and Central Florida as well. South Florida actually should catch a break from the rain, especially with that really dense plume of Saharan dust moving through. And then you'll see showers and storms up in Charlotte. By the way, this is actually the feature that the Hurricane Center was keeping an eye on for development, but it's more so over land now. That's why it's not going to do anything. All right, across the great state of Texas, 98 with sunshine in El Paso. We'll do a storm chance in Midland and Dallas. Again, for us, just an isolated chance. Otherwise, sunny and hot in the mid-90s. Kansas City looks good tomorrow, upper 70s with sunshine. Some showers and cool weather up through Rapid City. Chicago looks beautiful, mid-70s, mainly sunny skies. And then back across the West Coast, 101 for Phoenix, 71 though in Flagstaff. A shower chance in Denver, and LA is cool with some morning fog breaking to sunshine, upper 60s. 75 in Seattle, 81 for Spokane, and then we'll do 80s and 70s across the Intermountain West. For the overnight here at home, any showers or storms that are out there should wrap up probably around 10 o'clock at the latest. 76 will do it for your low temperature. Getting into your Thursday, 95 degrees, isolated storms can't be ruled out, especially as we get to the afternoon, but it's not going to be nearly as much as what we're going to see this afternoon here at home. Okay, 98 then for your Friday, 98 on Saturday. Check out Sunday. Again, a run at the century mark, not out of the question. The record high temperature for that day is 99 degrees. But our numbers start to slide back for Monday and Tuesday with air temperatures dropping into the 90s as rain chances start to come back. So the driest days of the week this weekend will feature haze, sunshine, and a lot of heat, but dry weather. And then we'll see bookend rain chances for the beginning and the end of the 7-day forecast. That's your weather impact forecast here on KHOU 11 Plus. We'll see you back here on the KHOU 11 News at 4 o'clock.